I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. All right, what's up, world? Welcome back to I Mix What I Like. I'm Jared Ball, happy to be your host. I'm going to do a short live here to make up for the fact that the pre-recorded version of this that was set to be edited and posted, there was some unexplained technical problem. So I said, you know what? I'll just do it again and live. So please do like, share, subscribe. Those who are able to join me now live, peace and welcome to you. Good to see you, Brother Jamil. Thank you very much. And everyone else who I expect more likely will see this later. Please do like, share, subscribe, support the platform however you would like. And let's go. So, going to be relatively quick because, as I said earlier on the Remix Morning Show, got things to get to, and you know, but and this is a makeup for a previous, I don't know, error. So here we go. But nonetheless, so I wanted to do so I got a Google alert informing me that the concept of buying power had been engaged recently by Elon Musk. So I checked it out, and it turns out that in just a few minutes Elon Musk has inadvertently done wonders for helping, I hope, expose what buying power is and is not. So I want to just start here, and I'll make sure all the links are in the show description. I don't think they are just yet. But I want to start here by just showing you the remix redux summary presentation of the myth of black buying power, myth and propaganda of black buying power. But I just want to show you this shot from it. You can watch, please watch the whole video at some point on your at your own convenience, at your own leisure. But I just want to draw your attention to primarily tenet number 3 here. But just a sec. All right. Yeah. And yeah, Cynical, this is just a pop up real quick because, again, the pre recorded version of this didn't work. So just quickly, buying power is an attempt to manage the contradiction between profit and labor. Please see the video and, of course, the book for more. Secondly, it's an attempt to measure the ability of any particular consumer group to enrich the owners of the economy. That is an important point for what we're going to look at. And then 3, it's and this is primarily what we're looking at this morning quickly. Buying power is an attempt to determine advertising revenue expenditures for businesses. All right. And then I do go into in the video what buying power is not, and which of course it's not a measurement of income, not a measurement of wealth, it's not GDP, and it's not a pool of existing money that can be used any way those being discussed can as they would like. So, okay. Now, so I wanted to start there. And before I get to where I want to end up, I definitely want to show you what will help clarify this, an excerpt from a recent discussion on Millennials Are Killing Capitalism with Dwayne Monroe, who you've, of course, seen also with Saturdays with Renee on Black Liberation Media. But I just want to play an excerpt of their discussion. I'll make sure the link to their full discussion is in the show description as well. I think actually all the links are there already. I think I've already done that. But if I pull this up here, let's see. this is really, 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 really a good discussion. So I hope people, if you haven't already, make sure you check this out. Like so many of the conversations they have over there. But this one, I just want you to now. The context of this discussion is admittedly beautiful for me, a critique of a Jacobin article that Monroe wrote regarding AI, labor, unions, etc. It's a really important conversation. This one part though speaks to what I wanted to get to here today, and so I just want to play this brief clip where Monroe is talking about how the money already invested in developing all this AI is not seeing any rate of return that the investors would like, because AI doesn't have the practical functionality in our society that they promise and would like it to have, and it doesn't generate the revenue that they would like it to have. So what that forces people to do is to create a lot of propaganda and advertising and promotion around how their particular AI, which they've already taken in all this investment for, is going to be usable and saleable and is worth people purchasing and using, so that those who previously invested in it can get their rate of return. And then ultimately what that ends up is, we'll see, requiring is the owners of commercial media outlets selling their audiences to corporations and advertisers for investment and ad revenue in that commercial media. All right, here we go.
Seen around this that is interesting.
I think that Ed Zitron, who's a UK-based journalist and also technologist, who very carefully analyzes and follows this industry, his analyses, I think, are really key, as is the work of David Gerard, and there are several other people. And some of the best people I've noticed in this are actually techies who sort of woke up and go, what the hell is even happening? Because many of us entered the industry to do certain things, right? We like to work with technology, we like to solve problems. A surprisingly high number of people really want to create things that actually help people in some way. And you can see what computer technology can do, what software can do. It can be helpful, right? You can aid us, but it's not. And so some people have started, even if they don't have, say, our politics per se, but they have a critique, and it's a powerful critique, which is that this is a bubble for a couple of reasons. As Zitron will, for example, tells us, and there's a reference to Ed in my piece. Number one, there's no profit. Despite all of their capital outlays, there's no profit. And without profit, how can they sustain it? How can they sustain the level of spend for data centers and all the rest of it?
And this section, as he started, is this chapter of the video is this a bubble? Because that's what he's saying. It is a bubble. It's going to burst, because all the people, just like crypto, just like Bitcoin and other forms of investment, those who own it want to create an investment bubble by getting other suckers to come in and pay for it and invest in it to enhance their value, and then they want to get out of here. So that's what he's saying. That's what Monroe was talking about in terms of AI here. This is very important. Before I play you the clip I want us to get to in just a second.
Number two, the physical infrastructure requires a great deal of effort to maintain. In our first conversation, I emphasized many times data centers. I said that my objection to Varoufakis's techno-feudalism thesis is that not once does he mention data centers in any, to my knowledge, at all. He just assumes that there's just a mist of technology that the cloudless, or whatever you want to call, whatever he calls them, can just use.
A mist of technology. Again, just like crypto and just like blockchain, the same argument. People ignore all of the infrastructure and investment and all the backing technology and work that goes into producing the claim, and all of the people who want the rate of return on their investment. All of that is ignored in favor of this mist of a technology that's going to solve all of our problems. It's
utilized to make us serfs, which is absurd. It's just capitalism, buddy. But anyway, the lack of profit the fact that the capital expenditures are astronomical. The maintenance of it is incredible. NVIDIA is making a great deal of money right now because of the build-outs of data centers for so-called AI. But at some point, shareholders, and this is where Marxists really need to understand how businesses function. You know, theory is great, but how do corporations really function? Shareholders at some point will say, okay, we've spent tens, maybe hundreds of billions. I still am not seeing a return on my investment. Maybe I need to stop funding you. And once the funding stops, which is going to happen at some point, then the bottom will fall out. Because without this massive capital outlay, the infrastructure will not be maintained, and without that infrastructure, then there will be no at scale so-called AI.
Again, please check the whole conversation. It's the whole thing is very important. But that clip says a lot of what needs to be said in advance of what we're about to watch here, because again, without people coming in to buy the AI, all of this cost at the layout, the initial expenditure, the maintenance of all this technology and all that goes into to producing the AI that people would want to use is just it's not sustainable. So what do they have to do? They target their audiences. You got to start going to your audiences. How can AI be marketed as something? Earlier in there, they talked about what was happening that I saw live and direct at the recent American Association of University Professors, American Federation of Teachers conference, where AFT signed up with this big AI deal to use AI for education. And some of us at the conference were like, hold up. Because if you read the whole document, Jared Ware mentions Professor Andrew Douglas, and he was at the conference and let me know about this. And then when I read through the entire document, this agreement between the American Federation of Teachers and one or another AI companies, there's this little line or two in there about we're still going to assure that our laborers, our teachers are protected, our workers are protected, and that AI isn't going to hurt their. But yeah. But anyway. But okay, so what do you have to do? You got to get your AI up. You got to get your AI sales up, as they say.
Hello, everyone.
So listen very carefully as Elon introduces this Twitter Spaces or X Spaces discussion on trillions in buying power. Elon Musk's full AMA Grok AI is changing the game. Ask me anything, that is. Elon Musk's Ask Me Anything. You all can look at the whole thing and determine whether or not the questions were legit and whether he answered them. We're not going to go through the whole thing. We only need the first few minutes here to make the point I'm trying to get us to focus on. Listen very carefully as he introduces what this space is for.
Thanks for coming to the X Spaces regarding advertising.
Okay. It's X Spaces regarding advertising. It's not X Spaces regarding the economic condition of Twitter users and their communities and their political and economic power. No. This is for advertisers. All right. They're targeting advertisers.
This is Elon Musk speaking. So we'll be providing a more comprehensive overview of the progress with advertising, and just after this, we'll be providing that, just posting it to the X platform, so we can see some of the statistics verified by third parties that show the effectiveness of X advertising, brand safety, and I think address a number of other questions. And I think
the effects of X advertising and brand safety.
You'll see that we are geared towards making X the best platform for advertising in the world. And one of the key ways that
The best platform for advertising. Now, I know none of us here are thinking that Elon meant to turn X into something that would be revolutionary or good for humanity, or that even Jack Dorsey was creating something that would ultimately good for humanity or whatever. But I just want to emphasize what their emphasis
We're
is.
doing that is by applying the smartest AI in the world, the one that's got the highest intelligence on every benchmark, which is the Grok AI, as a result of the merger of XAI and X. And what the Grok AI allows us to do is to really understand how to match in a product or service with the consumer, with someone who would find that interesting.
How to match a product or service with a consumer. Said differently, a core fundamental understanding of commercial media with any basic communications of media studies analysis is the audience is what's being sold. Whenever you see or hear a commercial, whenever you read an ad in a print outlet, you are what's being sold, not the product, not the ad. You are the commodity being sold by the media outlet to that advertiser. And what Elon is promising is a more direct relationship between ad buyers and the consumers they want to reach, who have this, of course, trillions in buying power that can be tapped into, not for the good of the people who are said to be exercising this buying power, but for the good of the ad buyers and those corporations, and of course the platform itself.
It's always worth bearing in mind that the X platform, the buying power of the audience on the X platform is enormous. It is really where CEOs, heads of state, and really the most influential people who are influencers in real life, not online influencers. That is where they go.
So if you want to find the people with money and influence in real life, not just on social media, you got to go to X. That's where you're going to find the people who have this. Now, again, I went through for me again, I went through the transcript of this just to check, and there is no explanation of where the claim comes from. So there's no reference to Selig. There's no clarity around that, because again, all these are estimates and projections based on really scandalous use of other survey data. But the point being, the purpose of the buying power isn't to assess the condition of the people who are the consumers. It is to assess their ability to enrich the ad buyers that Elon wants to convince his AI will connect more specifically and carefully to their target audience.
They don't go to TikTok. They don't. Your TikTok's fine platform. Instagram is fine, but the people of substance go to X, and that's where you see the important debates. Nobody announces anything important on TikTok, even though it's fine platform. But important announcements are on the X platform, and so you really have buying power that is probably in the trillions on the platform. It is truly enormous. So there are very few places that you could.
Probably in the trillions, he said. It's enormous. All right. Again, it's not based on anything real. And he's only saying this, as Monroe was pointing out, because he's got to sell this AI that whoever or himself is invested in, and nobody's spending it on it.
Reach me or Mark Benioff or Michael Dell or Larry Ellison or you name it. But the X platform is one of the few places, in some cases, one of the only places online that you can actually reach people with truly enormous buying power. So that's just something that I think is often overlooked. And then, as I said, by applying advanced AI to advertising targeting, we're going from a system, sort of the old Twitter system, which frankly, where the advertising was somewhat random. There appeared to be essentially no targeting, if not inverse targeting, at times. I'd just like to thank everyone who advertised through those days, because unless your brand was so big that it was impossible to miss, if you're McDonald's or something like that, or some big movie or something, then where half of the audience would want to consume it, then you really there was no meaningful targeting before. And I often ask people the question, like, how long have you been using X or Twitter? And they'll say, well, 10 years. And I'll like, well, how many things have you bought on X? And they're like, nothing.
And that's the point. So I just, even inadvertently, I don't know if this counts as a broken clock being right twice a day. I just think more to the point, Elon, in all of his flaws, is accurately reflecting the concept of buying power, because this is all it's ever been meant to do. It only becomes the pernicious weapon when applied in the to and targeted to Black American consumers, the Black community primarily. Latin America is coming up right behind it. There's more on that I'd like to actually get into at some point. That the myth is taking new form there as well. But all the point is that everybody understands what buying power is or is not, except the most propagandized, targeted Black community here in the United States as it regards this issue. And that's what I just wanted again to show what the point of that all is. So again, buying power is about advertising, targeting ad revenue. It's about corporates, commercial media outlets, and and sadly, often historically, the Black commercial press wanting to promote this idea that Black communities have a buying power, so that as Elon was showing there, once you make the claim that you can sell your audience to corporations willing to spend now, as I was saying, over $600 billion a year in ad revenue, to spend some of that with your outlet, the only way to convince people to do that is to sell your audience to them with this idea that they have the trillions in buying power to spend on your product. And that's what Elon is saying here. I'm going to sell my audience to these ad buyers so I can try to track back on some of this investment on my Grok AI. This is why he eventually, if you want to, later on, he gets into talking about training data, aesthetic standards for ads, et cetera, and so forth. But the point is, they're training the data and training data to produce results that they need to continue to make money. So I just want to help get, in some way, to get as many of us off of this idea that buying power, entrepreneurialism, any form of capitalism is a pathway to freedom. It is absolutely not. We need much more radical and militant analyses, and to organize around those analyses if there is ever going to be a level of freedom that is worthy of the term. All right. So, all right. Apologies for the quick run here, and apologies to those who were able to make it here live. Can't get into the chat at the moment. My sincerest apologies for that. But as I said, I had to quickly try to do this to make up for the fact that what was already done did not work. So I hope this works. I hope it makes sense. Please leave a comment in the comment section if you have any questions, queries, conundrums, catechisms, cacophony, calumny, consternation, contemplation, condemnation, constructive criticism, and check the links in the show description for more. Peace only if you're willing to fight for it, as Fred Hampton used to say. Thank you once again, and I'll catch you next time right here at...
And what do you sacrifice? Calm. Kindness, kinship, love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago from which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, that set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything, 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 everything.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.